am back with some fiction book recommendations. These are all of the books that I have read recently. Some of them are amazing, some of them are DNFs, and I'm going to tell you everything about all of these books, which one you should read, which one you can skip out on, which one is good for who, everything in this video. Let's get into it. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice. I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you. Hi, if you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content. If you do, consider subscribing. My name is Anjil. I make a lot of bookish and lifestyle content on the channel. Basically, we are book besties who also share coffee here and there. If you want to join the community, do hit subscribe. I think about all of these books that I have read recently, and some of these books are literal gems, and then some of them have been such huge disappointments. I have decided not to sugarcoat my disappointment. Okay, I feel like when I am disappointed, especially by an author that I have enjoyed in the past, I try to justify why it's okay, not just to you guys but also to myself in my head, because I keep telling myself that, oh, I really liked this author, how is it possible that I don't like this book by them? But the point is that it's okay to not like all of the books by an author that you love. No sugarcoating in this video. Let's get into it. I'm actually going to start with a big one, which is a disappointment, which is by an author that I have found, like, that I have loved. Actually, she has sort of changed my reading taste forever, but this one was just not it. And this is the story of two people in the swimming, diving world. They cross each other's path, sparks fly about, and they do have something in common, something that they did not have in common with anybody else. And so it feels like a perfect match in that area of their life, except obviously as time goes on, we do realize that that is not the only thing that they have in common. There is just so much more. It is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. First of all, I just want to take a moment for the cover before I get into what I thought about the story, which is absolutely delicious. This is delicious. I love this cover so much, and what I was expecting from the book when I saw this cover was that because it is Deep End, like, I get it that it's about swimming, but I also thought that they're going to go like really deep into the emotional side of things. And because of the hands that you can see, the hands, God, I was like, this book is going to be filled with tension, it's going to be filled with slow burn, it's just going to be so intense. Names of the characters, Scarlett and Lucas, so beautiful, fit so beautifully together. And yes, these things do matter to me, especially when I'm reading a romance novel. Okay, so I was very excited to get into it. There were side characters, there were side quests going on, and I just believed that these are all of the different plot lines that are being opened up so that they can be tied well together by the end, and that we will also see a lot of character growth through these arcs for both of the characters, because they are going through some issues. Side characters were also introduced, and I knew that they would play a role in these characters' lives. When the lives of these two characters are built up in such a whole way, then obviously the romance will also hit. The romance was romancing, it is slow burn. Also, this book is filled with spice, so the slow burn part of it, because there is going to be spice, it was just all really good in the first 100 to 150 pages. However, as I moved forward, it quickly got extremely repetitive, and till around 250 pages, which, by the way, this book is like around 400 pages, 450 pages. Okay, so till around 250 pages, I was still like, okay, like, the book is like really trying to build up the entire story and all of the characters properly. So I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and still keep reading and try to keep myself interested. However, towards the end of the book, like after 250 pages mark, when it's literally the same thing going on, when you have started so many things, so many plot lines, and then it's all just overlapping where it's not fitting with each other, it has nothing to do with the character arcs, and it's not really finishing off strong towards the end of the book, I was left unsatisfied and I was left confused. I will say Lucas is this great man. I love him so much. Ali Hazelwood men, they are like top notch. I really wish all men were like the men that Ali Hazelwood writes. Okay, so he was top notch. Scarlett also not bad as a character. They also were not completely 2D. They did have quirks and this and that, like they had layers to them, so that was also the good part of the book. But the side quests took everything from the book. They kept happening, the same thing kept happening in them over and over again, firstly, and secondly, the side character, she is the main character. of the book, and that's how much we talk about her and her life, and I do not know why. Is it because we're going to get another book where it's going to be the side character story? Even then I would like to see glimpses of the side character and then nothing else about her, because we are talking about Scarlett and Lucas here, but we talk about the side characters so much in this book, and I just don't get why. And I am not even connected to her. I don't care what is happening in her life. She should get her own book if I'm supposed to care about what is happening in her life. I think Love Hypothesis was one of the first romance books that I had ever read, and it was so different from anything that I had read before, and I realized that rom-coms can be an escapism. Even when I said that this book is one of the anticipated releases of the year, I had talked about how I have never given an Anna Hazelwood book less than 3.5 stars, and that is all I asked for. 4 stars, 3.5 stars. It's always actually usually been 4 stars. So I was so looking forward to this book, and then now I'm giving it 3 stars. Moving on to the next book, I will tell you, it has been the most life-changing, literally life-changing, and the most comforting book all in one. The reason it has been comforting is because it's a story of a bookshop. This book is basically like, imagine a blanket that smells like books all wrapped up around you, and it's the coziest feeling ever reading this book, especially because of the setting, because our main character is like living in a bookshop. The reason it has been life-changing is because the story of the main character reflected so much of my own story, where she's going through something in her life and then she discovers books, and that completely shifts her life on its axis. That is exactly what books did for me. I was going through my life in a different way, and then I discovered books by chance, and then just completely shifted my entire life. Then seeing how the character feels about books made me realize that I have not been feeling like that about books since a long time now, since around a few months. As you will see, I've also not read a lot of books in the past few months. Even in my last wrap up, I talked about how I have not read a lot of books. Last year was a slow reading year. Why? Because every time I'm reading a book, there is this feeling you get when you read a book, and I had not been getting that feeling, and I hadn't realized the joy that I was missing out on till I read this book, because I saw the main character taste books and enjoy books the way I used to. So I decided to change things in my life and get back to reading in that way. That's all I want to tell you. This is like a long story, which I think I'll explain in another vlog, but this is how it changed my life and my perspective, and it has brought joy back into my life, not only because I was reading the book, but also because of how it made me reflect on my own life. The book I'm talking about is Days at the Murasaki Bookshop by Satoshi Yagisawa, translated by Eric Ozawa. So many of you have recommended this book to me. I don't know why it has taken me so much time to read this book. Finished it, I wanted to jump straight into the next book, but I have just saved it for myself to read it when I want that warm hug of a blanket that smells like books again. So yes, I definitely loved this book so much. Such a short book, but it has been written so well that you get connected to the characters almost instantly. There were tears shed here and there, not sad tears, not overwhelming tears, but just because of how heartwarming and cozy it is. I will say towards the end of the book, there is a new character introduced not out of nowhere, like she has been talked about, but then we also dive deep into her life, and that is something that I did not connect with very well. Like that character I did not connect with very well, and so this is not a 5-star book for me. However, everything else was absolute perfection. If you are just starting out with your reading, if you want to get into Japanese literature, if you want just a cozy time, you want to turn your brain off and just have a cozy nice time, then I highly recommend this book. 4.5 stars. Next up, let's talk about probably the only 5-star 6-star book that I have in this pile, because I'm just not reading the best. Like, I'm not able to make choices of the best books ever. Okay, I'm just like constantly disappointed. This one is the one book which just made me just like silent and speechless, and I have talked about it with anybody I can, like literally anybody I can find, and I've been talking about how it is absolutely unbelievable, like literally unbelievable that this book was written by a human being, and like literally what was going on in his mind when he was writing this book, what was going on, how is this even possible? It has made me believe in the talent that a human being can hold and the wonder of the world, while also reflecting on the ugly side of world and ugly side of what a community can be like, and the different hardships that we all face on a regular basis. The book I'm talking about is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. It's translated by Neil Smith, and I think I started this book because I wanted to read another book in this series, the last book in this series, because that copy is huge and whatever. Like, I've talked about it multiple times. I have also made a vlog on this. I will link it in the description if you want deeper views, because I've talked about it a lot, at length, in depth, everything. But basically, this is the story of Beartown, where hockey is very, very important, controls the entire economy, the entire standing of this town, except that because of some reasons the town is crashing, and if you don't win this match, this entire town will basically crash completely. We get to see the perspective of so many people that live in this town, the children, their parents, the people that work with hockey, the people that don't work with hockey, and how this hockey is still affecting their lives. And somehow, even if hockey is such a big part of this book, it's not like you have to know literally anything about hockey to get into it, literally anything at all. And if you have any interest in sports at all, then you will enjoy this book a little more, because you will see how sports is not just about numbers and winning and losing. It actually affects people's lives in a very, very real way. But if you're not into sports, then also it's going to be very impactful, because it's not about the sport, it's about the effects of the sport. So you don't need to know sports to understand how it is affecting each and every life that we are reading about in the book. I was encaptured since the first like 10 pages itself. I was just like, whoa, this writing, everything felt like home coming back to this author, because Fredrik Backman, all the books that I have read by this man are like 5 stars, 6 stars. It felt like home when I started reading it, and then I move on to the story of the book. So for the first 50% of it, it's slow and the story is building up. If you are reading your first book by Fredrik Backman, or like your first book ever, it's going to be boring, okay, because it's so characters oriented. It's driven by the characters and the emotions of the characters. However, because I have read other books by Fredrik Backman, I had faith in the story, so I was not getting bored at all. And I also enjoy books where characters are taking the story forward, and so I actually genuinely enjoyed it. I just love reading about characters, that's it. Like, even if there is absolutely no story and you just get to witness the life of the characters, I enjoy that a lot. So I was enjoying the story a lot. I was also biased towards Fredrik Backman, because of which it was not boring for me at all. And then the last 50% of the book just like completely blew my mind. The build-up paid off. The writing is just so insanely good. It's so good. It's so good. And you also get to reflect on the different facets of humanity, all of the issues that we face as human beings, what happens when you are part of a community, because we always talk about how community is amazing, blah blah blah, but there is a toxic side to being in a community, to being in a small town, how there are secrets that nobody, and how there is miscommunication between the people of the community, and how it affects everybody in the community. So a lot is going on in this book. If you enjoy character driven books, then this is going to be the perfect book for you. There is no way you will hate it. You will be obsessed with it. And if you like Fredrik Backman's other books, because his other books also tend to do this, talk about different people and the different issues that they are facing, and then bring it all together somehow, like I don't know how he does it, then also you will enjoy this book a lot. If this is going to be your first book ever, then I think it's going to be very slow, so you have to be ready for that. And do read the trigger warnings before you get into the book, because there were a lot of triggers and it was pretty graphic, whatever the triggers were there. Like the thing itself, the trigger itself wasn't that graphic, but the effects of it is just absolutely brutal. So do read the trigger warnings. An absolute 6-star read for me. Highly recommend this book. Fredrik Backman lovers, if you've not read this book. Okay, my camera just completely stumbled down. I'm sorry, there is an angle shift now in the camera. But yeah, if you're a Fredrik Backman lover and you're wondering whether this is going to be an enjoyable read for you or not, it is going to be. So do read it, you will enjoy it a lot. The next two books are both by Indian authors, one thriller and one romance. Let's talk about the thriller first. It had a very fresh concept, and the reason I was attracted to it is because the storyline is just so intriguing. Main character in this book is pregnant, and you know how we always hear that mom talks to her child all the time and the children can hear you. So moms read good books, they consume good content, everything, because the child can hear you. Imagine the child talking back to the mother. Okay, what a chilling concept. This concept is so fresh. I was very intrigued to read this book since a very long time. Also, it's a domestic thriller, and you guys know I love thriller books about couples. Okay, it's just so good to read the toxicity and everything that happens between couples in a thriller setting. This is a domestic thriller, and so it was the perfect combination of everything. It's also a very short book to read, and because it's a thriller, it was also very fast paced to read. There was just so much good about this book. The book I'm talking about is I Hear You by Nidhi Upadhyay. Another reason was that I have seen a lot of you guys also tell me to read this book a lot, This and That Night by the same author. I don't have That Night. I want to get That Night as soon as possible and read that too. But for now, I read this book and it was absolutely amazing. I enjoyed the writing so much, and also the character is not living in India. She's living in another country, and so the setting was not very Indian, but because the characters are Indian, there were a lot of Indian things in here, and that relatability I do not get when I read like Western books. Okay, so that just really hits home for me. The concept was explored very well, which I was worried about. There are 3 POVs going on in the book: the wife, the husband, and the child. And you also do root for the main character, the main female character, and you want her to win. So everything that you can ask from a thriller is there in this. I highly recommend it if you're looking for a thriller novel, especially by an Indian author and you want those relatable points. Highly recommend this book. 4 stars. The romance novel that I read by an Indian author is so random. Like, I have only heard about this book a couple of times, and then I saw a reel and I just saw some quote from this book, and I was like, wait, I want to read this book. So I just got it on my Kindle and I just randomly started reading it, and then I finished it in like 2 sittings. And this book is long. It's a long book, but I finished it in 2 sittings. It's also, the reason I'm saying it's random is because it's very different from my usual romance taste. This book is about an arranged marriage. I am all about the love romance, like lovely romance side of things, where you meet each other and there are meet cutes and there are those tropes and things like that. This is an arranged marriage. I don't think I've ever read a book with arranged marriage in it. So very different from my usual reading taste. The book is called Love Unarranged by N.M. Patel, and the story is so simple. It's literally the story of these 2 people getting married, and it's an arranged marriage. Like, that is literally the only story, the only plot that is going on. However, there is so much that goes into 2 people meeting and then getting married and it being an arranged marriage, and what happens after the arranged marriage. There is so much that goes into an arranged marriage and the dynamic between the 2 main characters, but also with the Desi setting and everything, the dynamic between the 2 families of these 2 people. So you basically read all of the details of these people from start to finish. You read about the side character, the rituals, you read about how these 2 people meet, how they feel. It also has dual POV, so you do get to understand both their perspectives. I love the guy's name. His name is Akar. I mean, I hope his name is Akar. I am pronouncing it as Akar, and I love it so much. That guy is a man. Okay, and I'm telling you, this book has completely restored my faith in arranged marriages. Like, I always think that arranged marriage is something that I will never go for because it just can go so wrong. But you read this book and it's like, okay, maybe, just like maybe, because the chemistry between these 2 characters, the dynamic that they have with their own family is very realistic, and the love and the romance they develop in an arranged marriage setting is so good. It's so good to read about it. This book is also spicy. Keep that in mind when you get into it. It's an adult romance, and even though the plot is so simple and it's only the story of an arranged marriage, it felt like I'm watching like a 4-part, 5-part vlog series of these 2 people who are about to get married. Okay, and it was so much fun for me to read. I love vlog style writing. I mean, there is nothing like vlog style writing. What I mean to say is that you're following the day-to-day lives of these characters. Again, character driven. I love that so much. I loved the chemistry, the slow burn, the heat, the intimacy, the emotional depth, the understanding, the desi touches, like our culture, everything, and the relatability I had with it. I loved the side characters, the pacing. It's just really good. Okay, so I really enjoyed it. If you're looking for a book with the arranged marriage trope, then this is going to be the perfect one for you. Just one thing, it can get repetitive, it can get slow, it can get boring if you are not into reading character driven stories, and if you want some sort of like masala and like drama, it doesn't have much of that, so that can be the negative side of things. Next up, I have still not finished this book, but I have started it and I'm reading it over and over again because it is a short story collection. So basically every single time I have finished reading a book and I just want like a palate cleanser, then I read one of the short stories in this book. Though I would not call it a palate cleanser because of the way it's written and the author and everything that I'm reading about. It's just absolutely crazy and unhinged. It's unhinged. The book I'm talking about is She's Always Hungry by Eliza Clark, collection of short stories. Honestly, how do I explain to you what I have read? I don't know. But all I can tell you is that this book is about hunger, the need for something. And it's so intense and the obsession is so crazy that you do the most unhinged, craziest things to get it. For example, one of the stories in the book, I think it's the first one, the woman is letting a parasite into her body because she doesn't want to be fat. And it's like, it's a parasite. Okay, and then the way the book is written, it's Eliza Clark. So Eliza Clark is also the author of Penance and Boy Parts. I've not read Boy Parts, but I've read Penance, and the vlog that I've read it in, I've talked about how it's the most unhinged thing I've ever read. Like, it's so dark. I have read nothing darker than that. In that book, she's talked about how, like, the main character, one of the characters, the teenage girl, she's burnt and you can smell burning flesh from a distance, and I'm just like, whoa, you know, like, whoa. And then the deeper you get into the book, the more unhinged it gets. So that's the kind of author Eliza Clark is. And so the concepts and then the writing on top of it is just insane. It's insane, it's disgusting, it's gruesome. It's a dark comedy. Like, it can be explained as dark comedy, and I'm telling you, it is dark. So if you want something unhinged and different and fresh writing, but also like very dark, something very unsettling, and you want a short story collection so you don't have to read it all at once, then I highly recommend this book. I really do love it. Like, till now I would rate it around 4.5 stars. Because I have not finished the book, I'm not going to give it a rating, but like till now I would rate it 4.5 stars. Highly recommend the book. Like, the writing is not hard, it's just crazy. Okay, I think I've used the words crazy and unhinged too much, but that is just how I felt when I was reading the book. Speaking about crazy, I read another crazy thriller, not thriller, sort of like a true crime documentary, like a true crime novel. The book is Triflers Need Not Apply by Camilla Bruce. This is actually based on a true story that took place in Chicago in, I think, 1990. Yes, and it's based on the true story of Bella Guns. It's a story of Bella, who has in the first 50 pages faced the worst things you can imagine facing, and she has lost her child, and that just puts her on a path where she has let go of any remorse that comes from emotion and empathy with a man, and she goes on this journey of taking care of all of these men who do wrong. She just realizes how the world is made for men, like everything is serving men and the patriarchy and the systems and everything, and she has decided that she's not going to let that hold herself back. And she's a serial killer. That's all I'm going to tell you, because basically, honestly, that is all there is to it. When you're reading the book, you read about how she does that. I read this book in 2 settings because even if it is so thick, very bingeable. Okay, this main character is very fleshed out, has so many dimensions to her, has so many layers to her. We are reading it from her perspective. The way her mind works is just so interesting to read about. I will tell you, there is another perspective going on, the perspective of her sister, which then gives us a perspective of Bella from a different person, from a different angle. That also was very interesting to read, especially because her sister is sort of like us, like the reader, where some things are like she's justifying some things that Bella is doing, but at the same time she's like, wait, is it wrong? Like, isn't it wrong? Shouldn't I be saying something about it, you know? So it's very interesting to read all of these things. The feeling I got when I was reading the book that, oh, okay, like move on with it already, or like where is the thrill of things and whatever. But once I was done reading the book, I realized that even though it was slow and not very thrilling, when I look back at this entire book as a whole, I'm like, whoa, what did I just read? And the fact that it's based on a true story just like truly boggles my mind. So it was a very interesting read. I will not recommend this book as a thriller because it was not that thrilling and the pacing was very, very slow. But if you want to read mystery and if you want to read true crime, then this is going to be the perfect book for you. Even if you're a beginner, even if it is thick, it's going to be the perfect book for you. 4 stars. Next up, I was in the mood for some drama. This book was compared to Daisy Jones and the Six, and you guys know I love Daisy Jones and the Six so much. The book, the series, the casting, everything about Daisy Jones and the Six is just like top tier, top notch for me, because the drama I got from that book is just like insane, you know. So this book was described as scandalous, and the love story in this was supposed to be obsessive. They're supposed to be obsessed with each other, and it looks very scandalous on the outside, and the limelight and everything, and the spotlight was on them, and obsession with their work and their art. I was very excited about the book, but I was disappointed. Okay, the book is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. To the world, they were a scandal. To each other, an obsession. The book is marketed very well, and I will tell you, the scandalous side of things is beautiful in the book. It's so scandalous, there's so much drama going on, but when it comes to the love side of things, the obsession that they're talking about doesn't exist. If you ask me, there were moments where there was so much fire and heat that I was like, oof, man, like, oof, like this is where it begins. This is where the obsession begins. Also because the two characters, they know each other from childhood. I love romances where they know each other from like when they were very, very young, and they have grown up together. So I was very excited about it. Also loved that aspect where they were children and they were just like with each other and how they survived and everything. Loved the scandal, loved the drama, but did not enjoy the obsession part of it. There was no slow burn, there was no longing. The part where they're together is like very, very vague and short. So I was not satisfied on that side of things, and I don't think it is anything like Daisy Jones and the Six at all. Even the writing style is not like Daisy Jones and the Six. We only get to see the perspective of one character, the main female character. We don't even get to see the perspective of the main male character, and the main male character was my favorite. Okay, I love Heath so much, so I really wish I got his perspective on things too. Basically a little bit disappointed, but also enjoyed the book. So I've given this book 3.5 stars because again, I do recommend it and I did enjoy aspects of it, but not 5 stars or 4 stars because I was very, very dissatisfied. Next is a book that a lot of you have been waiting my review for. I actually did review it as early as possible in the vlog that went live before this video, I think. Yeah. The book is Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry, and yet again another disappointment. I was gonna say I don't want to get into the review by saying it was disappointing, but it was. Okay, what am I gonna do about it? The book is about these two writers and they're fighting for the chance of writing the autobiography of this really, really famous woman, Margaret Ives. And I was so excited about it because it's rivals to lovers. I was pretty sure there'll be a lot of good banter, a lot of good slow burn, because I've read other books by Emily Henry and I have gotten that before. And a lot of people had been saying that it'll be like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and that is my favorite book. And I also thought it's gonna be like that because Margaret Ives was like built up as this iconic character. So disappointed by like every aspect of it. Why? Because one, you get into the life of Margaret Ives, but you get to know everything about all of the other generations that came before her. I was more connected to those characters than Margaret Ives herself. Secondly, when you do get to the point, like I was very invested in the other characters, right, and I was invested in the story. When you do get to the point where you're about to now get to know about Margaret Ives, and it is scandalous and it is dramatic, there's no explanation to it. Like, I don't know Margaret Ives' life at all. Okay, like that, hers is the great big beautiful life, and I don't know anything about her life because it was wrapped up so quickly. Thirdly, I was like, okay, then let's get into the romance side of things. Started off great. The guy is a grump, she's sunshine. Very excited about that dynamic too, even if they're rivals. And the grump is gone in like a second. I don't know where it went. Like, you're a grumpy character, you can't just go from grumpy to non-grumpy in a second. And even if you do go, at least like build it up. No build up whatsoever to the romance side of things. It just moves on so fast. Like, there's no slow burn at all. The only positive side of things in the love story side was that banter is really good. The conversations these characters were having, there was heat here and there, that was really good. But it moves on so quickly. Basically, also you get into the life of the main female character, doesn't go deep into that either. So I'm like, there are 10 things going on, they don't complement each other at all. There is one plot twist towards the end of the book which is not explored at all. So why am I reading the book? Like, why am I reading the book? I'm gonna give it 3 stars. That is my rating. If you want to start with Emily Henry and you're like, what is the hype around Emily Henry, I will tell you, don't start with this book. Okay, but if you do like insta love and you want more literary fiction reading, then you can start with this book, then it will be good for you. Next up, we have Boys with Sharp Teeth, and this actually was a DNF for me. This is the story of Sam, who has gone to this school called Huntsworth, which is filled with rich, spoiled kids, according to her. But the reason that she has gone over there under a fake identity is because her cousin was killed, and she is sure that one of the 3 kids from the school have killed him because he used to work over there. So she has gone to catch them. I think it's going to be a soft DNF. I want to pick it back up very soon. I actually talked about it a little bit again in the vlog that I have uploaded before this, so I would recommend you go and see that to see my in-depth views about it. I've also talked about a few quotes from the book and why I love it so much. There is a philosophical side to this, and it's dark academia, so I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I read around 40 to 50% of it in one sitting itself. I liked how philosophy was taking the train forward. There was a lot of good to it, but I was promised vampires and there were no vampires. So like on Goodreads, I saw that this book is paranormal and it has vampires, but there were no vampires in it. So I was like, you know, like, it's not like a bad thing, it's okay if there were no vampires, but I was just expecting it a lot and then it was not there. And secondly, after 60% of the mark, so I DNF'd it as 65%, after 60% of the mark, the book just got so confusing for me. Scene would be built up in the beginning of each chapter, and then when it's supposed to like get over and you know, you're like, okay, so it's going to land now, the chapter would end, and then this whole new thing would start in the next chapter, which is related to the story, but it's like this whole new thing, you know, it's another day, it's another topic, and then it would build up something again, and then I was hoping that what was built up in the first chapter would come to this chapter and then it'll all make sense, but it wasn't making any sense. So it got very chopped off and cutty and like confusing for me to read the story, and so I DNF'd it. It's a soft DNF. I did enjoy the story and I do want to know how it ends, and I really like the philosophical things side of things with the story, so I want to know how that plays a role into it. And the characters are very interesting to me. I love the characters so much, not in a way that the characters are likable, they're very unlikable, but it's just so much fun to read about them. And it's also a YA book, and dark academia, there's just a lot about this book that I really enjoyed, so I will be picking it back up very soon. Next up, we have The Answer Is No, another book by Fredrik Backman, and this is a short story. It is available on Kindle Unlimited, so for everybody who has a Kindle, congratulations, we're gonna get more of Fredrik Backman. But if you don't have a Kindle, I'm like really sorry, it's just sad. I really hope this book is published somehow for everybody to read, because this is the story of an introvert, a man who doesn't like to go outside, a man who thinks the more people he has in his life, the more complicated it gets. And so he's very, very happy with the life that he is leading. Hello, extremely relatable. Okay, I hate going outside. I find delivery systems so good because I don't have to go outside. There were so many relatable points for me as an introvert when I was reading the book, but something happens because of which now he has to get involved with people, and we see what happens when he's getting out of that comfort zone. A short book, I finished it I think within an hour. It's also funny at so many points, but again there was like this Fredrik Backman magic to it, where you are seeing the different sides of being a human being, introvert, extrovert, ambivert, whatever it is. If you have never read any Fredrik Backman book before and you want to just start and see what it can be like, then I highly recommend this book, because it is the perfect, you'll get the perfect sense of what Fredrik Backman writing is like. I am now losing my voice. Need to get done with this quickly. Next up we have Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the 5th book in the Hunger Games world. It is not exactly part of the series. Obviously, I do highly recommend that you read Hunger Games, the entire trilogy, before reading it, or at least watch the movies before reading it. No, I would actually recommend to read the books before reading this. It's a story of Haymitch. It's a very essential character in Hunger Games itself, and I think anybody who has read Hunger Games was very excited to read this book and his story. I personally loved Haymitch so much in Hunger Games, and so I was very intrigued to read his story, and I will tell you, this book has not disappointed me at all. I think that entire concept of what propaganda is and what, like, how the entire capital, the government was controlling what the capital and the districts do through Hunger Games. It was so interesting to read about that, how what we see and how it affects our mind and our brain, and how then we act according to it, how we can be controlled in that way. All of that, to read about that in the dystopian world, was very interesting. And then we also get to see Haymitch in the Hunger Games because he's one of the players. Always wanted to know what that was like, so it was great to see that also. Get to see Haymitch's life, you get to see his love interest. There is so much that happens in this book, and it was utterly fun and emotional, and I don't even want to talk about the epilogue. Oh my god. Okay, so I've read this book again in the vlog, so I put that in the description if you want again deeper views into it. But as a review of the book, as a recommendation, I will highly recommend you to read this book. If you have read Hunger Games and you're wondering whether it's going to be worth it or not, it is so going to be. There are also mentions of characters from Hunger Games in this, and that is so nostalgic for me. It was a very, very good time. Highly recommended. 4.5 stars. Next up, actually this is the first few books I read, and I think it took up a lot of my time in the beginning. Like when I made my last video of all of the books that I have read, then I started with these books. I have a reading vlog of it, it'll be in the description. And the books I'm talking about is the entire Magnolia Park series. I picked it up. I picked the first book to read for fun. Absolute, like, oh, it's going to be a palate cleanser, I'm just going to read this one book and see what it is like, that's it, sort of a thing. Picked it up, was not even going to vlog it, but then I got into it and I was 25% into it, and I was like, whoa, like, whoa, what is this writing? Okay, what beautiful, amazing writing. There are 5 books in this series. We have Magnolia Parks, we have Daisy Hates, we have another Magnolia Parks books, then we have another Daisy Hates books, and then we have another Magnolia Parks books. Book. Basically the Magnolia Park series, like her story, Magnolia and BJ, it's completed with the 3 books. Daisy Hates is still going on. You do have to read the Daisy Hates books if you want to enjoy the Magnolia Park series in the best way possible, and if you want to enjoy Daisy Hates to the max, then you have to read the Magnolia Parks books. Basically they're all in the same world, and it's a story of the characters that meet each other basically on a regular basis. And the first book, everybody does call it romance. I don't think it's a romance, I would call it literary fiction. It's a character driven story, and it's basically the story of these 2 characters who are in love with each other, and this is called obsession and the longing, and it's so toxic, and they should not be together because of what they do to each other, but of course they cannot live without each other. And when it comes to like Magnolia Parks and BJ, I think that the start, middle, end, everything was great. It was so good to read, and I loved how the story progressed, even in the last one, Into the Dark. Perfect ending to the story of these two characters. Very, very important. The pacing was great, and the main thing that stands out to me is the writing of the book. It's the writing of the book that makes it so exceptional for me, because I have not read Obsession and Longing the way I have read it in this book, the way it's written in this book. Absolutely obsessed. And then we have Daisy Hate's book. So the second book in the series and the first book in the Daisy Hates, I actually DNF'd it. After 50% of the book, it just got boring and it got very repetitive for me, so I DNF'd it. Also did not enjoy the world a lot, except the character Julian in that. And then I read the second Daisy Hates book, because obviously you have to read it if you want to read Magnolia Park's books. That book is like almost a 5-star. Oh my god. Okay, Julian is a guy I think about every single day, and I don't know how to explain to you how much I love him. Okay, how much I love him. If you want to read drama, obsession, toxicity, very, very rich people and what they do, things like that, then I think you will enjoy the series a lot. Please don't try to take away anything from it. Just enjoy it for the story of it, for the characters of it. I think that people like this are very, very real, and they exist in the real world. So it's very fun to read about all of these people. I love them so much. Overall, I think this series is a 3.5-star series for me on an average, where it's just like I'm not planning on ever rereading it, or it hasn't changed my life in some way. But when I was reading it, it was just too much fun, and I just had the best time when I was reading it. So I really, really enjoyed it. Though I will tell you, if you don't like toxic characters, if you think that books should only have characters you should root for, if you are not okay with literally every character being bad and wrong, then you will not enjoy the series. Don't even try to read this book. It's going to be the worst thing that you will ever read, because they're all so shitty. Okay, in the end, it's actually like more of a wrap-up thing. I reread the Powerless and Reckless by Lauren Roberts, both those books, because Fearless recently came out. I had decided that I'm going to read the entire trilogy together when Fearless comes out. So I read Powerless and Reckless. If you don't know what it's about, it's a fantasy world, and it's a story of ordinaries and elites. Elites have powers, ordinaries don't, and elites want ordinaries dead. That is basically the story. Also, it's very inspired by Hunger Games, which I can now see now that I have read Hunger Games already. But also, it's very different from Hunger Games. I think Hunger Games was all about the Hunger Games, and this is more about the characters and the fantasy and the romance side of things. So basically, if you have read Hunger Games and you wished it was a romance book, then you can read this series. I love it. Even now, I actually thought, because I read Reckless and I was like, oh my god, the series is, not going good and whatever. Like, I was disappointed by Reckless. So when I had to do a reread and I had to read Powerless, and it has been so long, like around 2 years since I've read it, or 3 years, I was like, what if I don't like this book anymore? Like, what if when I was reading it for the first time, I had not read Hunger Games, I had not read a lot of fantasy romance, so I liked it, and now when I reread it, I won't like it at all. But even upon the reread, Powerless is definitely a 5-star, 6-star read for me. What an amazing book. The romance, the setting, everything, the characters, it's so good. Oh my god, even upon the reread, it's just so good. I love Powerless so much. And even upon the reread, then I was hoping that now I will enjoy Reckless, because I have recently read Powerless. But no, Reckless is just absolutely disappointing when it comes to the plotline side of things. Even now, I would rate Powerless around 5-6 stars. I would rate Reckless around 3.5 stars only. Now I have to read Fearless, but I have not read it yet. I don't know when I will read it, but I will read it soon. I don't know if you can hear it, but I don't know why I've lost my voice. Okay, I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I really do hope you enjoyed the video. Love making these videos where I just sit and talk about all of the books that I have read at length, and also recommend it to you guys. I hope you got at least one recommendation out of it. If you did, please do share, please do subscribe. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Bye. I'm gonna have water.